Okay, so we've seen how to get information, we've seen how to update information and to create information. Final thing that we're going to want to be able to do is to delete information, to remove it. Again, this is very similar to the other request types that we've already seen. But one thing which is slightly interesting with deletions, more so than any other request type, is you're much more likely to encounter problems where business rules disallow you from doing things. You may not have permissions to delete it. It could just be that there's a pending status or something of that ilk, which would normally, through the business rules, would stop you deleting a particular record. So I'll show you how we deal with that situation here. What I've got set up already is just a little helper method, which is going to go off and get me a trading account. It's just going to prompt me for the account reference. I can enter that account reference, and it'll go off, make a request, and return that one for me. And I'm going to attempt to delete that. And I'm going to drill into the get account implementation. For the details on how you make get requests, refer to the earlier video in the series on get requests. As you can see, it's very simple code there anyway. So to do a delete, I'm going to have an instance of a trading account feed entry. I'm going to call it account, and I'm going to assign it the results of the get account. So whatever reference I enter, it's going to go off and get that one for me. I'm then going to create a new SData request, because we need to request the deletion. I'm just going to call that request. New SData request. Now, here I'm going to pass in the URI, and the URI I can get, rather than having to build it, I can get it from the trading account feed entry that I've already retrieved. So I'll just convert the account URI property, which is a string, into a URI. Now, you'll have seen in the other videos that when we were passing in for an update or a create operation, we had to pass in the instance of the feed entry, because there was information in there that we had to persist. Now, we can pass in the instance of the trading account here, but it's completely redundant because we're going to delete it. There's no need to go through the overhead of submitting that object. The serialization, deserialization is completely redundant. So rather than pass it in, we'll just use one of the overloaded methods. So we could just say operation dot messaging dot model dot request verb dot delete. So we'll just pass in the delete parameter. We don't need to pass in the actual instance of the trading account, because we are going to go to a specific URL to request the deletion of it. So then we'll just set, as we have in all of the other examples, we're going to set the credentials, again hard coded, again bad practice, but fine for a demo. Password, empty string, and then we'll just send the request. Now, as I say, a deletion can be much more prone to having an error, a sort of legitimate reason why we can't delete that trading account in this example, or whatever the resource kind is that we're trying to delete. So we might be breaking business rules. In all of the examples, you'll have seen that we just do a very basic test, just seeing if the request state is valid for verb, then everything was okay. And it's the same case here. If if the status was valid, then the deletion was successful. So we can just say, just output to the console and say that the deletion was successful. Simple as that. But as I say, that is not always the case. You will have to deal with errors occurring. Now, errors can occur on any request type. I'd say they're just more common to see on a deletion. So just show you here how you can get a bit more information about what's actually gone wrong with the request. So we'll just check here and just see if the request request.response. Sorry, if request.diagnosis not equal to null, then do console.writeLine, and we'll just do request.diagnosis.message. Just a simple string in this case. There's a lot more useful information you can get from that, but here we're just literally going to output the string message result. You can get the response code and all sorts of other rich information from that if it's to fail. And we'll just put a little pause in here, just so we can actually see what's. So we can actually see what's going on. So we'll just build and run that. So we're prompted for an account reference to delete. So what we'll do is, if we just go and have a look here in accounts, we'll delete this account here, A1 Design Services. Its account reference is A1D001. A1D001. So it'll go off and try and delete that account. Now, as I've said throughout this video, there may be reasons why we can't delete certain records for whatever reason. Now, as you can see here, the delete operation failed. Cannot delete record as it has associated transactions. So we've by deleting this, or if we've been allowed to delete this, it would have broken a business rule. So account has disallowed that deletion. So it said, no, you can't delete that one because there's a business rule in place, and here's why. So you can also see the full call stack information in there in the message. So that's part of the sort of quite rich information that you can get from as an error. So if I rerun this again, and this time I'll try and delete this record here, my new account, which is if you were following through the earlier demos, is the one which we created earlier as part of the post request. So its account reference is my new AC. So my new AC. And this time we see deletion successful, and if I pop back to accounts, just force a refresh, we can see that the my new account is no longer there. We're down to 30 customers here instead of 31 that we had before. The deletion was successful because we didn't break the business rule of having associated transactions. So there's nothing wrong with our code originally in terms of how the deletion worked. It was just to show you there that there can be instances where you will see errors, and you will need to be aware of that and handle that. So typically you would prompt the user and just say you're not allowed to delete this because of, and then display a message. So that's it. We've seen how to get information out, we've seen how to update that information, we've seen how to create brand new information, and we've seen how to delete information. That's the full list of the CRUD operations. Everything here that you've seen will work on any other resource kind. It's literally, the difference is with the trading account feed entry. That would just be invoice feed entry, a sales invoice feed entry. It could be a purchase order feed entry, so on and so forth. There's anything which is supported by the adapter. All of those types were generated as boilerplate code. We didn't have to rewrite them. We just had to write a handful of lines of code to do our particular requested operation. It's all very similar code that as you'll have seen if you followed through the examples. So hopefully you found that useful. I'll provide links here now at the end of the video where you can get further information on the SData standard, where you can download the Sage integration framework, all the helper classes, where you can download the Visual Studio plugin that we've been using here, which I would highly recommend. I'll also put a link up here for the SData forums. So as you start working with SData, you're bound to get further questions, and once you get beyond the simple demo applications that we've been dealing with here, there's bound to be things that you'll want to know. There is full documentation for the SIF available on GitHub, but there is also the forums on the SData website. So if you pop along to that URL, if you've got a question, just post your question there. I'm certainly very active on those forums, so I'll tend to pick up your questions and answer them as soon as I possibly can. Other than that, get out there, download the SIF. Get your applications up and running, retrieving information, updating it, doing everything that you would previously have done through the third-party API. So in the case of Sage 50 Counts, that would be the SDO. So basically, download it, enjoy it. Any questions, get them on the forum. Thanks for watching.